Hi guys, this is the Ricky2ra podcast, episode 2. Welcome back. I'm doing my second episode now of this podcast series, you can say. I have got quite a few in mind, but this is the one that I really wanted to do first. So, as I said in the last episode, I told you a bit about myself. In this episode, I'm actually going to tell you how I got into magic. So stay tuned. And people on YouTube that are watching me, hi, thank you for watching and subscribing. People that are tuning in on the podcast, thank you for listening to me. Okay, so when did I get into magic? Well, I was 13 years old. I think I was sat in my living room. It was the summer in the UK, so it was about June time, and I seen this guy on TV, and there was something about him that was he had his own style that I'd never seen before. I'd seen magic programs before, like Chris Angel and David Blaine, but this guy was different, and I seen him do like a magic trick or effect, and he was sat in a room with this lady, and he had like a butterfly, and he covered the butterfly. It was like a fake butterfly, by the way. He like took it off the wall, and he covered his hand round, and he blew on it or something like that, and he took his hand away so you could see it, and the butterfly had come alive, and it flew. And the next thing you know, he waved his hands up, and the whole wall of butterflies, because there was a whole wall of fake butterflies, that just came and flew and like turned live, and oh my god, it was like the best thing I'd ever seen. And that magician, by the way, was a guy called Dynamo. For those who do not know Dynamo, first of all, where have you been? That guy really started it off for me. I'd never seen a guy his style before, and I was instantly attracted to it. So I literally watched all of his first series episodes, and I was hooked. And from there, after that episode that I seen with the butterflies, I went straight to my bedroom, went on Google, went on YouTube, and typed in magic tricks. And I was on there for hours. I got myself a pack of playing cards, because you know in every house you've got a pack of playing cards somewhere. So I remember I had these, I remember it, I think I've still got them somewhere in my drawer, the Emirates Planes playing cards. So it's the ones that you get like on a plane. I don't know if they still do them. So yeah, I had them for like years, just practicing off that, self-working magic tricks. Now, for those that are looking to get into magic, and I sometimes do get people asking me when I'm at events and stuff, oh, where do you learn this, where do you learn? And really, where I learned was just from YouTube, which was for free. So what I did was, after I seen that Dynamo episode, went on YouTube, typed in self-working tricks, and I learned the first one. Now, the mistake that you can make is learn a million tricks, not perform any. What I did was I picked one that I liked. I went through a few. I picked one that I liked, mastered it, and I showed my family. And when I say mastered it, I mean like it was really easy. I wasn't choosing anything like difficult or expert level. I chose something easy, so I mastered it in like 15 minutes, you can say. You can master a trick in 15 minutes. And I went downstairs. I think I showed my sisters, my mum and dad, and they were amazed. So I went upstairs, learnt another one, and then back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I loved it. I loved the reactions that I got from it. It's that, how do you do it? At that point, when I first started, I was like, wow, I'm that guy. And then I started watching the rest of Dynamo's series. Excuse me. Rest of Dynamo's series, I got hooked. So that's kind of where it was born for me. I kind of instantly fell in love with something, and yeah, it was. You just get this rush, this feeling, this adrenaline, and that's where it had started for me back in 2011. So yeah, so Dynamo did like loads of series after, from like 2011 to 2014. Seen him live as well. I've actually met him in person at a book signing, so I got to meet my hero as well. So yeah, for those who are looking to get into Magic, I would just type in magic tricks. There's loads now, but back then there was only a few channels that actually showed you how to do magic tricks with playing cards. And that's where it started from me. To this day I still do playing card magic. I've kind of want to expand, but I'm going to shout out some guys now. And if there's any magicians watching or listening, you know who these guys are. So I'm talking about Miss Mag 822. I'm talking about Andy Feel Magic. I'm talking about Jerick 120. And many, many, many more other guys. Free Magic Live. I remember back in the day that was a thing as well. So that's kind of where I got started. And hours and hours and hours of practice and performing, practice, perform, practice, perform. My first magic trick was from YouTube, the self-working trick that I was talking about. I don't know if I can perform it or even remember it now. I think it was, I shuffled the cards and then I asked somebody to count numbers out. And like say they say 5, I'd count out 5 cards and it'd land on like, let's say the 8 of hearts. Then we'd shuffle it again and they'd count out a number and I'd put say they say 6. And I'd count out 6 cards and it lands on like the 8 of diamonds. And then we do it 2 more times and it actually lands on all the 8s. I think that was one of the first card tricks that I'd learned. Or it could have been the aces at the time, the 4 aces. Yeah, I can vaguely remember that, but that's where it started from me. And I think I dug out a magic box set as well, and I started learning things from there as well. But yeah, that eight or aces trick was probably the first ones that I can remember actually performing. And it got to like family and friends as well. I remember when I was at school, I remember this like it was yesterday, and I think it was the only thing that I probably got an A at in school was in my English class. And the teacher said, next week I want you to have a presentation together on your passion. And as soon as she'd said that, boom, magic just popped in my head. And bearing in mind, nobody at my school knew, only a few close friends of mine, I'd say about 3 or 4 friends of mine, only knew that I did magic, but I'd never shown anybody at my school. So I was this shy guy at school, really. I was quite loud with my friends, but like shy in general at school. I never really used to put my hand up in class or stuff like that. So when it came to that day, and I put it on the board, the screen, and it says, my passion, magic, I could just hear people whispering like, what? Ricky doing magic? This and that. I showed them guys that I looked up to, like Dynamo, and I did a magic trick at the end, and it blew everyone away, and they were like, yo, so you're that guy, yeah? And that's basically where family was one part where I'd perform, and that's where friends was created, where I performed there. And yeah, I'd performed like loads of times at school then. Luckily I didn't get told off for it. I think I got told off once, but I didn't get my cards confiscated or anything like that. So yeah, that was the performing side. And from there, and this is advice to anybody that wants to get into magic or who is doing magic, I'd say performing is probably the most important part. You can practice at home in front of your friends and family, but once you get into real life situations and you deal with different people, you can kind of adapt to the situations, because you can do one magic trick one way, but for someone else it could go a different way depending on what type of character you're dealing with, if you know what I mean. This is the first time I'm talking about this, so if I'm not making sense, I apologise, but that's just the way I'm seeing it at the moment. So yeah, I'd say get out to as many people and perform. I'm lucky enough to be booked performing, not like on a big basis, but like I'm lucky to have people actually telling me, oh, can you do this and that, and I'd be like, yeah, I'll perform at this and that, and I can reach out to people as well, and I perform, and yeah, that's really built up my experience in the past and still to this day. So one last thing before I leave you all for this episode is mastering your craft. So like I said before, it's practice and perform. Repetition, repetition, repetition. So just like I saw Dynamo on the TV back, I think it was 9 years ago. Now, from that person that I was then to the person that I am now, 9 years later, I'd look back on 2011 Ricky and I'd be like, wow, you've come such a long way because you practiced, you didn't let any distractions get to you, and you used the formula, the simple formula of practicing and performing to build you up to where you are now. And if that's taken 9 years from get to the person that I am now, from there, then I can only imagine what I'm doing if we still focus and practice and perform from now to, what is it now, 2020, so 2020 to 2029, you can say. So that's kind of like mastering your craft, and you've always got to keep learning. Like, you can never say as an artist, performer, or anything in your career, like, that's it, I know everything, because you don't. I know nothing. I think I'm like only starting. Like, I haven't read like loads of magic books and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So I'm only just starting out. But if you really want to do something, I feel like you should just go all in. And that's something that I'm still dealing with yet, because in the next episode I'm going to show you another part of my life that I do as well, in the shop. So that kind of wraps it up for this episode here. But for episode 3, I'm going to take you in to the shop, and I'll tell you how that has influenced me as a person, my magic, and how it built up my confidence throughout the years as a 13-year-old boy to now. So I'd like to say again, thank you for everybody that has tuned in on the podcast, whether you're listening to Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Thank you for tuning in and listening. People on YouTube, thank you for watching, seeing me and talk, and I hope you like the story, the advice that I've given out. So I'll see you in the next episode in the shop. So if you're listening on the podcast, I'd highly recommend listen and then watch, because I'm going to take you into the shop as well. So I'll see you in episode 3. Take care and goodbye.